somehow. I'll keep moving on. I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on. I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow.
Oh yes, my Straight Talk family, whenever you hear that theme song, you know it's time for another edition of Straight Talk and time for me to say greetings to the world, because we are on the World Wide Web on your YouTube and Facebook platforms, and we reach you wherever you are in the globe. And in particular, we must say a very pleasant night to St. Kitts and Nevis, and a very pleasant night to the entire Caribbean region. And for those of you in the diaspora, we say greetings and good night to all of you in North America, all over North America. And we say greetings to Asia, to Europe, and to Africa. I can say good morning. In some cases, I can say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to that region in which you now find yourselves. And I always must greet first-timers. We welcome all the first-timers tonight, and I thank all those who continue to share the link so we can get our first-timers on board and welcome them and inform them that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, we do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let us in the process strive to get St. Kitts back. It's a Himalayan task, very tough ask, to get St. Kitts back to being the freest, if not one of the freest countries in the entire world. But with what's happening around St. Kitts, it's tough ask. But we're not going to be daunted. We're not going to give up. We're going to press for our freedom, especially our freedom of expression. Because on this program, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liebert, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And my Straight Talk family, I always find it important and imperative, a must, that I remind you as your host of my pledge to remain an untiring advocate of truthfulness, as I am reminded at all times of the words of this favorite hymn of mine, which goes like this: we are called to be God's prophets, speaking for the truth and right, standing firm for godly justice, bringing evil things to light. Let us seek the courage needed, our high calling to fulfill, that we all may know the blessing of the doing of God's will. And having said that, I must also assure you that absolutely nothing is watered down on this program. We never try to make it more interesting, neither by omission or by exaggeration. We give you as it is. Because Straight Talk is therefore not about sensationalism or creating excitement, especially at the expense of the truth, at the expense of accuracy. So we always lean on the facts, as I consider it my bounden duty to always present the unvarnished truth, the plain truth, especially when it comes to governance in our beloved land of St. Kitts and Nevis. And through this program, we are joined together with people across the Federation and in the diaspora all around the world. Some I have met, some I know very well, and some we will never meet and may never get to know them. Some will agree with the positions of truth that are advanced on Straight Talk, and some obviously will disagree. And that's okay, that's fine, because we promote diversity. We are different people, so we have different views. But please, don't sadden me, my Straight Talk family, and start to become disagreeable. So let's thank Almighty God nonetheless for helping us to understand how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Let us hope and let us pray for the day when we all sing His praise together. Excuse me. And welcome again, my people, and thanks and welcome in particular the first timers. And please continue to share the link as I implore you. For the first timers, I must also inform you that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we entertain your calls and we include your emails as well. And if you also minded calling, the numbers are on your screen. They are 663-6672. That's the local number. And or the overseas number is 646-829-6672. And we give you access by our email platform as well, because there are some people who are afraid to expose their voices to being heard around the world. And sometimes we understand why, because people are afraid, they get at you here, as we say in colloquial parlance. But we give you access via our email platform, which is straighttalkpatches@gmail.com. That's one word, STRAIGHTTALKPATCHES @gmail.com. And we say a special welcome to my junior brigade, young Dwayne, Tristan. It's Monday. Trust you reminded your mom today or tonight. It's Straight Talk. Shamar, Kevin Hanley, over there in Nevis. Hope all is well, going well at the CSS or CSHS. Is that what am I saying? The Charlestown Secondary School, CSS, yes. And young Rue Costa, again, congratulations for the awards you got. They're over there in South Carolina. How is Jamal in Anguilla, and Travis and Chavon of Ponds Extension, whom I met lately. And we say a special hello to the lady in St. Louis. Trust all is well. We start on a very, very solemn note, and we acknowledge the passing of Ines Lewis of Waterworks in Keon, who resided in Maryland, and who was like my other mother. And she leaves to mourn a very large family, including her daughters Verna, my very dear friend, Isilma, Yvette, Flory, Jackie, Lisi, Ernie, and son Sonny and Pusky. Also many grandchildren, including Javon and LaShawn, and her sister Emmentine, and her entire family, and many, many others who are left to mourn her loss. So we want to extend condolences to the family, and we trust and pray that her soul will rest in eternal peace. There are those who may have lost loved ones who I did not hear about. So in the event that is so, we extend condolences to you as well and your family. And I always remind you that death is a process, and we can say anything to you, but it's like Jimmy Cliff said. I always remind people that Jimmy Cliff said, "Who feels it knows it." So all I can say again, that death is a process. And for the information in particular for our first timers, we usually have a format for each show, in that we first consider our observations in review, after which we present a dissertation or short thesis. The title of my thesis tonight is "Thousands More Will Crash into Extreme Poverty and Suffering." Observations in review are an integral part of Straight Talk, after which I normally move into my thesis. And following my thesis, I will then include your calls and your emails, as mentioned earlier, to allow your full participation. And observations in review is a time when we highlight the current issues and then do some reflection. We may then ask a few questions, such as what was accomplished, how has it helped others, what has changed since, and what can be expected next, what new we have learned as a people. That's very important, because Straight Talk is about a learning process. And my first observation, my Straight Talk family, I must revert to the water quality issue in the Green Valley. I have to agree, and many of the residents of Keon are asking me never to let that issue die, because my Straight Dog family, the arrogant minister from number 3 seemed to believe that, and the entire cabinet, I may add, they seem to believe that they can do as they like. They treat people with what I call impunity. And this we have to stand up to, and we have to out it. We have to stop it, my Straight Dog family. Because even though we have so many people are asking, and legitimately so, what about the quality of the water that has been found in Keon? And this arrogant minister, instead of answering the question, who has tested the water, he puts on his Facebook this post: "We are almost there with the connection of the new Keon well to the Keon water system. Big up the amazing Water Services Department team, and indeed, just a few more steps." The arrogance of this minister cannot be overstated, neither overlooked, because we continue to ask the question, why isn't the Bureau of Standards involved in this critical issue of testing the quality of water made, or to be made available in this case, for human consumption? Why? Is it because that the Bureau of Standards identified the arsenic contamination in Shadwell 2. This well that Bede drilled, the last well that Bede drilled for 4 or 5 years, have not been commissioned because of the contamination found in that well. Contamination to the water, that is. And the Bureau of Standards and its multipurpose lab, I must repeat, has the appropriate equipment and contact alliances that will bring the independence and transparency to ensure that the quality of water found meets the World Health Organization's guidelines, the WHO guidelines for drinking water quality that were built on over 60 years of guidance by WHO on drinking water. So why should we trust Bede? Bede did not deliver water on Nevis. They did not deliver water here on St. Kitts, is the last place they drilled. So why must we trust Bede? So we're asking, who on earth tested the quality of water that is available or to be made available to the consumers in the Cairn area and the environs? This is a legitimate question. So why are they getting upset and avoiding the question? This is a question that ought to be answered. Bede doesn't have a good name around St. Kitts and Nevis. This is what happened in Nevis, according to the snake Mark Brantley.
As I indicated publicly before, we had made a commitment to have an additional 3 wells done at a global cost of 10 million EC dollars back in 2017. In fact, it was in August of 2017 that we paid to a company called Bede just over 2 million EC dollars as a down payment. Bede has never come to do the work for the government. And so we don't have our $2 million and we don't have any wells. We have decided to take legal action against Bede that is ongoing. So it has not been for want of trying in relation to water.
So it's the credibility of Bede that comes into question. And we're asking, why should we trust Bede, who did not deliver water in Nevis and is yet to deliver potable water in St. Kitts, my Straight Talk family? And I am focusing again on the technical experts, the public servants, like the manager and water engineer, Cromwell Williams, who is a trained hydrogeologist, a nice guy, cool guy, that I know. But why is Cromwell keeping silent on this thorny issue of water quality? He has been silent on the transportation of water via our fire trucks. That is unacceptable, Cromwell Williams. And you must know that. And you must tell the authorities that. But he is silent. Why not go to Waterline your program? Let the people know what's happening, my Straight Talk family. Let the people know, Cromwell Williams, what's happening to the water.
We are here, as usual, to bring you the water line. Basically to dialogue with you, our customers and the general public, as to the issues that we face together with regards to providing you with a safe and reliable supply of potable water. We know water is life. As our motto says, every drop counts.
Safe and reliable supply. And we agree with you. But you suggested that we do it together. So why not do it with the people of Cairn and allay their fears about the quality of water over there, Cromwell Williams? That is your duty as a public servant, you have that duty to the people, the taxpayers who pay your salary. And it's about time you come out from under your bushel, if that's a right term. Come out from under your stronghold and tell the people what is happening to the water quality in Keon. And be happy that water has been found after decades in Keon. But what is the quality of the water found? The other issue as well, it's desalination. And government agencies or departments are required to run fair and transparent processes to procure their goods and or services, and must be held accountable for their procurement decisions. Not the minister, the government offices and or departments. Government purchasing decisions ought to be driven by value for money, so that competitive small businesses in particular have the same chance of winning government contracts or businesses as large companies do. And government methods of procurement or procuring goods and services are prescribed by legislation. But when you listen to the soca engineer Conris Maynard, again, the man from number 3, when you listen to the soca engineer, he reveals that a contract was awarded to the Royal Utilities Plant, and it is now on the desk of the Attorney General Garth Lucifer Wilkin for his legal ratification. And that to me paints a picture of these elected and some unelected officials making decisions behind closed doors. And that to me creates a perception of corruption and would seem to signify government not working on behalf of the people, but working on behalf of certain private interests. And this is what the soca engineer had to say about desalination, my Straight Talk family. This is what he had to say. We remind you as well of this.
The Attorney General's office has confirmed that the contract agreement for the new desalination plant is just about ready for sign-off, and so we should be signing that contract very shortly for the construction of the 2 million gallon desalination plant, which is proposed to be located on the industrial site where the Texaco bulk facility used to be. This is right next to the ocean actually, and it's an ideal location for the capture of water and then the distribution to nearby 2 million gallon storage in Bird Rock, and even reaching storage as far as Lagreed. We had evaluated 3 proposals, and Royal Utilities was the selected developer, and so the contract will be signed with Royal Utilities, and we are at the final stages of that. And once the contract is signed, we anticipate that construction will take maybe up to about 8 months to get this additional 2 million gallons of water into our system.
And say what you like, your evaluation or evaluation of proposals. The methods of procurement are very clear. Pre-qualification and requirements of the Procurement and Contract Administration Act, they too are very clear. So we don't understand what is being said about the procurement, because you must publish according to the pre-qualification requirements. It must be published in at least 2 local newspapers. And that is not your call. It's the legislation that speaks to that very clearly. It speaks to that very clearly, my Straight Talk family, and you cannot get around that. And we have not seen, and we know that this was never ever done by the Water Services Department or the Public Works. It was never done by anyone. And we are saying all these things border on criminality, if we have to believe Garth Lucifer Wilkin, who said this himself pretty early in his term. It is turning a blind eye to all these atrocities, my Straight Talk family.
Our Procurement Act requires that there be a competitive bidding process to ensure the government gets value for money, and it makes it a crime to spend money from the Treasury without the procurement process being completed.
And that's very clear. He was the one who said that. None of us did. He spoke to the procurement process. And he said it's a crime to spend money from the Treasury without engaging in the process. So again, we are asking this arrogant bunch of ministers and cabinet members to do the right thing. That's all we're asking, my Straight Talk family. My second observation, I have observed that the Director of Public Prosecution, Adley Smith, has gone rather quiet. I don't know if you would think the same way like I do. But we haven't heard from DPP Smith after his song and dance and his demonstration to the country that he was just full of chat. So we are asking DPP Smith, what is going on with the issues you raised in the public a few weeks ago?
Your DPP stands ready. As soon as you hand over those names, I've already drafted the charges. I've already drafted it. It's just a matter of putting in your name and signing it and the different dates and so on, and a charge is laid. I've already laid down the gauntlet. It's either you do what you're required to do, or you suffer the inconvenience of having to pay lawyer, inconvenience of going to court, etc. The choice is yours.
My Straight Talk family, you observe that DPP Smith has gone quiet. And we wonder if the Board of Governors of the CIU, the Citizenship by Investment Unit, is controlled by a Board of Governors. Are they part of that integrity net, if I can use that term? And we understand that its chair has not filed his declarations. Is it that keeping back the DPP? Who else has not filed DPP? You started coming to the public. We welcome your transparency. Why have you gone in your bunkers as well? But those are my observations in review for tonight, my Straight Talk family. I limit them so I can move into my thesis, which I mentioned earlier is titled, "Thousands More Will Crash into Poverty and Suffering." And my Straight Talk family, in its flagship report, Social Panorama of Latin America and the Caribbean 2023, the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, ECLAC, warns that the GDP growth rate forecast for 2023 in Latin America and the Caribbean of 1.7% is significantly lower than the 3.8% seen in 2022. and could even slow to 1.5% in 2024, which means that further improvements to poverty in the region are not anticipated for this year. But one will glean a much different picture for St. Kitts and Nevis nonetheless from the 2023 Article 4 consultation, according to the press release in respect of the staff report and statement by the IMF, the International Monetary Fund's Executive Director for St. Kitts and Nevis. Addressing the outlook and risk, the report states at paragraph 11 that, and I quote, after a strong rebound in 2022, growth should gradually go back to trend, with headwinds in key tourism source markets. The staff projected growth to be 4.5% of GDP in 2023 and 3.8% in 2024, with GDP returning to the pre-pandemic level by the end of 2024. But going back to the ECLAC report, it's the issue of poverty that must attract our attention, as it states that more than 180 million people in our region do not have enough income to meet their basic needs. And 70 million of them lack the income needed to acquire a basic food basket. In total, my Straight Dog family, nearly 1/3 of the region's population is living in poverty. The United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, reports, however, that 1 in 5 people in St. Kitts Nevis lives in poverty. And that's the report from OCHA, my Straight Dog family, that it's posted on your screens. And you can read for yourselves the socio-economic environment, as it states very clearly, my Straight Dog family, that St. Kitts and Nevis is a small 2-island country that enjoys one of the highest GDP per capita in Latin America and the Caribbean. However, almost 1 in 5 people on the island lives in poverty, as per the latest governmental socio-economic survey. The country's economic cycles during the COVID-19 pandemic, the economy was severely impacted by the measures implemented by the government to control the spread of the virus, as the main goal was to save lives. The country has reported no death associated with the virus and the lowest number of cases per capita in the Western Hemisphere. However, a complete halt in cruise ship arrivals, a marked reduction in the number of tourist stayovers, and disruptions in domestic activity led the GDP per capita to drop 14.32% from 2019 to 2021. And that's understandable, my Straight Dog family, because if you live through COVID any part of the world, but I can tell you about St. Kitts and a short time in New York as well. But COVID was something that we have never experienced in a century, in 100 years. And at one stage, if you weren't a believer, you'd have said the world was going to end. But getting back to the topic, when one considers the World Bank definition of poverty, it tells us, therefore, that thousands of our people in St. Kitts Nevis are unable to maintain a minimal standard of living. It tells us that they are barely surviving. And under this Jew administration, thousands of people now struggle to cope with the sharp cost of living increases. And many have to choose between eating food or paying their electricity bills. Thousands more of the poor people could crash into extreme levels of poverty in St. Kitts Nevis because of the senseless policies of this Jew administration. But it did not take long to find out that the poor people in St. Kitts Nevis had no friends in the Jew-like cabinet. The Jew cabinet betrayed the people as they promised while on the campaign trail that the PAP monies would be increased. That was the promise, my Straight Talk family. A big promise. It should have increased to $1,500, I think they said at one time, my Straight Talk family. And my Straight Talk family, they let the people down. They betrayed the people. This Jew administration betrayed the people. And it was a slow student, Jeffrey Hanley, who was the one behind the planned betrayal, or the one who, my Straight Talk family, was delegated to execute that betrayal of the people, my Straight Talk family. Because remember this.
When the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party won the general elections on August 5th, 2022, there were 7,469 payees receiving either regular PAP or PAP as expanded for COVID. The monetary value for each was $3,480,000, payable to 6,960 regular PAP beneficiaries and $254,500 to PAP as expanded for COVID 509 beneficiaries. This totaled a grand payout of $3,734,500.
And my Straight Talk family, the slow student Jeffrey Hanley gave the country that situational report, I would call it. But in the process, he also issued this mandate, my Straight Talk family.
I use this opportunity to indicate that all eligible existing recipients of the Poverty Alleviation Program PAP are mandated to reapply by completing the application form by December 16, 2022. Failure to do so would mean that your payment will cease effective December 31st, 2022. I wish to notify the general public that the mending of the PAP will commence from January 2023.
But it was the advice, my Straight Talk family, received from the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, to streamline the social assistance programs. And they regarded this advice as more important than the suffering people in St. Kitts and Nevis. They took the advice, as we say in colloquial parlance, hook, line, and sinker.
The advice we have gotten, particularly from IMF reports, is that we actually need to streamline our social services. Thinking is not about expanding social services so that we just increase our social assistance budget. And so we understand, of course, that people need assistance immediately, and we really try to service people who are most vulnerable. we also want to be able to apply conditions so that when we ask questions like, how are you using the PAP money? We're not trying to be invasive.
They are invasive. How the hell they are using what PAP money? And the old man said to me, he made this comment. So if I want to buy a pair of shoes with my PAP money, I can't buy a pair of shoes? You prefer me to walk barefooted? And that makes sense. Should he walk barefooted or should he buy a pair of shoes? But recall, my Straight Dog family, that the PAP was introduced in December 2018. Remember, it was introduced in December 2018.
We heard your cries. We heard you say that some persons were basically eking out an existence, that they needed a top-up, if you will. And we introduced the $500 a month program. What a thing. Never happened before. Not happening in Antigua and Barbuda. Not happening in Anguilla. Not happening in St. Martin. Not happening in St. Thomas. Not happening in St. Croix. Not happening in Jamaica. But happening right here in St. Kitts.
But my Straight Dog family, poor people were suffering long before 2015. And this is why the former Labour administration ran cap in hand to the IMF. Recall, everybody got a haircut. Even the churches lost money. Then they introduced a 17% VAT, value-added tax. What in fact they did was to devalue our dollar to 83 cents in a nutshell. Recall as well, my Straight Dog family, that it was a promise made by the team Unity before the 2015 elections to take off the VAT on food, which it did. And not only did it take off the VAT in food, it introduced the PAP, my Straight Dog family. We must remember this as well. Introduce the PAP.
The program is designed to provide this special stipend of $500 every month to vulnerable households who earn less than $3,000 per month across St. Kitts and Nevis. This is a major development, one of the best social development initiatives to be implemented over the past 30 years and fulfills a promise made by our Team Unity administration in the campaign leading up to the historic general elections in 2015.
Promise made, promise kept. And this social development initiative positively impacted the grassroots economy. It had a trickle-down effect on the mom and pop shops in every community. Poor people could have afforded to trust, as we say colloquially, or credit their food and pay the shopkeeper when the month ended and they received their $500 assistance. Poor people could have afforded to pay for their electricity and their water bills. But very early, the incompetent leadership of July was exposed for all to see. My Straight Dog family. His administration never subscribed to the concept that government is continuous. Or perhaps it was never understood by him that essential operations in government must continue after a change in administration, and critical social programs cannot and should not be stopped overnight. But contrary to that concept, Labour executed a plan from day one under Terence Michael July to dismantle the Poverty Alleviation Program, PAP. And this is what they did. Exactly what they did, as reported by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Social Development, Azila Clark, who said this and gave an update as of June last year.
We paid on the 30th of June, I'll get that number for you, 5,361 households are receiving PAP at this time. Remember, when we closed applications in December, 11,639 applied. Of that number, 8,985 were eligible. All right? And so that now, if you take 5,361 from that number, it's over 60% of the applications are being paid. I know for some persons being in the 40%, to them it's unfair.
It's not unfair, it's heartless. Absurdity. And ironically, my Straight Talk family, the United Nations observes the World Day of Social Justice annually on February the 20th, beg your pardon, which is tomorrow. And this is a day that encourages all of us to reflect on how social justice impacts poverty eradication and emphasizes the goal of achieving full employment and support for social integration. And here we are in St. Kitts and Nevis, on the eve of that special day. And what we are doing? Practicing social discrimination and division. That's what it is. In December 2022, July mended the PAP, and in March 2024, they are now ending the PAP. And please do not tell us about the IMF, because we don't owe the IMF 1 cent. We paid the IMF's debt owed to it. IMF, yes, we collaborate with such organizations. They provide advice. But they have economists. We too have economists. So please don't tell us about the IMF. We're not beholden unto the IMF. And this, the revered Financial Secretary, Hilary Hazel, will tell you that the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, is not the only source of economic surveillance and or economic advice. And she said this to us. And I did sit up and listen to her.
The IMF is not the only credible source of information on the economic performance of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. In fact, the economic data that is gathered and distributed by the government is shared with all our relevant economic partners. The same data files that are shared with the IMF are also shared with ECCB, the Caribbean Development Bank, ECLAC, you name it. And so I think that we need to put things in proper perspective as well, in that the IMF is not an auditor of the government. The Director of Audit is the only authority to audit the books of the government. The IMF, however, continues to be an important partner in respect of the economic surveillance, policy advice to the government, and also the provision of technical assistance to the countries that hold membership with it.
So this young lady, Philip, stop coming to us and telling us about the IMF. Learn about the IMF and stop coming and insulting our intelligence. On Straight Talk, we mentioned before, a mention was made before, of the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the IBRD, which is the main lending organization of the World Bank Group, and like its sister institution, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, was born, hear me out, born of the realization of allies during World War II that tremendous difficulties in reconstruction and development would face them in the post-war transition period, necessitating international economic and financial cooperation on a vast scale. Why do you think the US wants to pump so much money into Ukraine, for example? Who is going to rebuild the Gaza? Who is going to rebuild Ukraine? That's what the US companies, they level these buildings flat and they rebuild them. That's what the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development likes. They like these capital projects. The IMF has advised that the phasing out of the crisis-related measures in reference to the COVID should be complemented by a reform of the Social Assistance Program, PAP. And that's fine. So why their recipe should be your recipe? Why their recommendation should be totally accepted? And it goes on. Reform the Social Assistance Program, PAP, to better target the most vulnerable, which is consistent with the July plan. 8,000 to 9,000 people eligible, you pay 5,000 people. So who determines the most vulnerable when 4,000 of the 9,000 are left to die? And this is consistent with the July plan as intimated by this young lady, Philip.
Persons who are currently on the PAP and who will be eligible for the lift with the new conditions, you will be invited to verify the information on your original PAP application and resubmit it for consideration on the lift. Now, this doesn't mean there's a guarantee, so that should be done before the anticipated last payment on the PAP program, which should be by the end of March.
The end of March, my Straight Talk family. That's when she'll drop the hammer. And listen what she said. There's no guarantee. Those are the key words. So my heart hurts for those poor people who are struggling with the high cost of food, shelter, and electricity. I said before that Terrence Michael July is now rubbing salt into their wounds, because next month, no matter what he says, he's going to bring an end to the PAP. And he says he's introducing LIT, but no guarantee you will be reconfirmed. Listen that carefully. No guarantee, she said, my Straight Talk family. But while poor people are suffering, Joe is doing his Roomba dance, having fun, partying. That's what he likes. He failed to deliver the New Year's address because he didn't care about us. He's lazy. He likes to party and smile. Look at him doing the Roomba, you know? But remember, my Straight Dog family, remember, please remember, thousands were already removed from the program even though they were qualified to receive benefits. The program helped some 5,000 8,361 households, but there were 8,985 eligible persons. So 4,624 persons, if my math is correct, that's my strongest weak point. 4,624 persons were left in the cold. So what makes 5,361 persons more vulnerable than the 4,624 persons who were not paid, who were unceremoniously removed from the PAP? And instead of making it better, they are making it worse, and now introducing new conditions with no guarantee for even those who are currently on the PAP. And what Jew does? All July does is the rumba, having fun while people are hurting and suffering. That's what he likes, partying and smiling. My Straight Talk family, St. Kitts Nevis has adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, including the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals aim to end poverty, hunger, and inequality, to take on climate change and the environment, improve access to health and education, and to build strong institutions and partnerships, and more. But it needs effective leadership, my Straight Talk family, for sustainable development. And this leadership requires an inner process in which a leader must first be grounded in an understanding of self and a relational view of the world to effectively work with others to make change. In the International Journal for Quality Research, there is an interesting article titled Transactional and Transformational Leadership Development Through Changes, in which the authors Nikesic and Purik S. and Purik J. wrote back in 2012, that, and I quote, "Reflection is a process of understanding one's own skills, knowledge, and values within the context of community groups." The authors opined that strong leadership, a coherent implementation plan, and engagement of all government departments and diverse stakeholders are necessary to ensure that the sustainable development goals are achieved at the national and international levels. The dire economic situation, my Straight Talk family, in St. Kitts and Nevis today demands that everyone must work towards creating a more sustainable future. But the problem we find is that our current leaders are all experts, my Straight Dog family. Self-acclaimed experts they are.
I'm tremendously proud of this team. This team is filled with experts in various fields. Any field you might call, there's an expert here, somebody who is well versed in that area, even more versed than me. And that's a good thing. So if I talk about sustainable development, you have Dr. Joya Clark. If I speak to youth and women affairs, you have Honorable Iselin. If I speak about small business and entertainment and agriculture, Honorable Samuel Duggins, well established. If I speak about energy and engineering and so forth, the Honorable Conwys Maynard. If I speak about the law, it's a given, or our AGS. When I speak about the tourism product and the advancement of labor laws and so forth, we have our learned Honorable who is a lawyer. When I speak about experience in government, We have our senior minister. When I speak about education, and I mean, when you talk about empowering of the youth and community development, we have our deputy prime minister, the Honorable Jeffrey Hanley. And so this team is a serious team.
How serious? You may ask my Straight Talk family. But the truth is, my Straight Talk family, we have so-called leaders. We have so-called leaders that rather than believing that only they, or I should say who rather than believing that only they can provide solutions to our problems or answers to every question, these leaders ought to create opportunities for people to come together and generate their own advances. For too long, my Straight Dog family, social injustice has been undervalued. My Straight Dog family, for too long.
For too long, social justice has been undervalued. Economic demands have overshadowed environmental and social needs. Inequality and divisions have been allowed to grow. This situation threatens all of us. It must change. If we are to reframe our societies and economies to be stable, sustainable, and equitable, we must start with a focus on social justice. Social justice means policies and actions that create equal access to opportunity, that support a green transition which is just and inclusive, that give everyone the basic of a dignified life. My dear colleagues, we have a unique opportunity to bend the arc of history in favor of social justice. But we can only achieve this by working together.
Working together. And that's coming from the ILO's executive director, the eve of World Social Justice Day. But in spite of all that's going wrong under this July administration, I believe that we can find comfort in the good book. We can find comfort in the Bible. And what does the Bible tell us about servants to the people? We can just look into the book, or in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6. And verse 7 reads, "Serve wholeheartedly, as if you were serving the Lord, not people. Because you know that the Lord will reward each one for whatever good they do, whether they are slave or free. And masters," reads in verse 9, "treat your slaves in the same way." And we can go to Romans 6, which tells us that the greatest among you shall be your servant. It also tells us whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. My Straight Talk family, under this Jew administration, the road seems long and our burdens are heavy. Who will help the poor people is the question that everyone is asking. But poor people are not the problem, nor is the culture of poverty, because poor people work hard. Our parents and foreparents were poor. They work hard. They showed resolve and determination in providing for us, in providing for their families. My Straight Talk family, we are not organized though. We need to get organized. And we are not united. So we cannot demand anything. We need to get organized and united, and then we can demand everything. All those committed to poverty reduction must therefore ask themselves the question, how can we build on what already works, like the PAP, that has been working for 6 years? So why end it? The PAP is working. But there's a sinister plan to knock persons off the PAP. So they changed the name to LIFT. And what does that mean? It means that you must reconfirm your details. But there's no guarantee that you will get back on. No guarantee that you will be reinstated, my Straight Talk family. And people depend on the PAP. Those near 5,000 people, you displace them from the PAP. Why do you want to displace more? People are hurting in this country. Things are hard. There are no jobs. The economy is dead. Stagnant economy. Everything is coming. Hotel is coming. Road is coming. We are there. Nothing is happening in the country. As the local people would say, nothing no go on. That will be no more. No more, my Straight Talk family. This is what a recipient testified about the PAP.
It is not EASY. It is not easy. And do not be fooled. Do not let no nice show and no nice thing fool you. The $500 from the PAP, it is so helpful. I wish I could triple it up. It's so helpful. It come in so handy.
So why? Why? You want to take that away? It come in so handy. But that will be no more for many persons come March 31, 2024. God help us all is our fervent prayer, as thousands more people will crash into poverty and suffering in our beloved country. That's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I am not going to change it. So I will entertain your calls and your emails. Remember, as I said, the numbers are 663-6672. That's the local number. If you're calling that number from overseas, yes, you have access, but of course you have to use the area code, which is 869. There's also an overseas number, 646-829-6672. And for those who like the cloak of anonymity, as I said, our email address is straighttalkpatches@gmail.com. That's straighttalkpatches@gmail.com. I always like to implore you, though, when I open the lines, and I'll do so momentarily, to respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. And in saying and doing those things, let us ensure as well it will be beneficial to all concerned. And my Straight Talk family, as we say, the things we say and or do as well, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. I'll open the lines and entertain your calls and your emails at 30 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. If you have just joined me, remember, our thesis tonight be titled, Thousands More People Will Crash into Poverty. I can say extreme poverty and suffering. The people are suffering under this July administration, and something has to be done sooner rather than later. My Straight Dog family, I'll dispense of some emails as I await your calls. Last Friday afternoon reads this email. I heard Dr. Martin said that we are, meaning Dr. Drew, meaning Dr. Drew government inherited this psychiatric ward at the JNF in a bad state. What stupid political rubbish he talking? So we are not that gullible and senseless to believe that nonsense you are talking. Be honest and speak the truth, man. You ran the institution to the ground and the entire JNF as a whole in your political and spiteful effort to cause embarrassment to Harris. Anti-immunity. You were willful. Now you find yourself back in your saddle, getting your big fat salary for doing absolutely nothing except riding on the taxpayer's back and singing for your supper. That is all the work you are doing for $10,000 monthly. Stop being so unconscionable when you are to be on the job at the hospital. You are on a radio station on government time, campaigning and singing for your supper. You lack probity and should hang your head in shame. Dr. Martin reads that email. Let's go to the lines. 15 past the 9 o'clock hour. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Captain.
How are you, my brother? You're my
fine.
You're my opening bat again tonight. The Bible man.
Yeah. Captain.
So.
Matthew chapter 4. Verses 45. The Bible says, God send the rain and they are just. That is, the word of God in Psalm 41. Blessed is the man
considereth the poor,
that considereth the poor. Now me write you write in there. And when you walk with the Bible, going to church, brother, you know, read it in there. When you're going to the church, lifting up your holy hand to God, you ain't sitting there. The Bible says, when a man will please God, he makes himself his enemy be at peace with him. That is, the word of God said, blessed is the man that considereth the poor. In the time of trouble, the Lord shall deliver him. But did there come a day when you have to give an account to to God for your fellow men. And I'm going to tell you something tonight, Patties. Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Do not deceive. God is not mocked, Patties. Whatever man soweth, that he shall also reap. But in the word of God, seven, when God asked Cain, where is his brother? Cain bust back out, am I my brother's keeper? We are our brother's keeper. But when we got pressurize our fellow men that God put here to enjoy what we have to.
Okay.
One of these days you will give an account. And I'm saying tonight, Mr. Patil, Psalm 37,
Fret not. Yeah.
verse 25. I was young.
Oh.
Now I'm old. I never see the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread.
Okay, my
Mr. Patrick, I ain't going no further than there now because when I listen, people go about 5 minutes and all those things and you don't take enough. No? So have a pleasant night, Mr. Patrick.
Have a pleasant night as well, my brother. I try to give everybody equal time, but we have to start, with, let's use 2 minutes, and yeah, you went for almost 4 minutes, but that's fine. But I try to get as many people in as possible because some people say they can't get into the show, so we try to share it. When Harris, in his wisdom, reads this email, rightly advised the citizens to approach the government functionaries for any assistance, he was severely criticized by Dr. Drew and some of his party colleagues, and also that Freedom Radio. Now that they are feeling the pressure from the government, it is very interesting to hear them saying, no, boy, Harris was right when them to call to the government functionaries, beg your pardon, they think running the government was easy, reads that email. Let's go back to the lines at 9:20. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night. How are you?
I am peaceful, my dear.
Well, first time I get in so quick. I just wake up and see the time. Now, Mr. Libert, today the minister was on the David talking about from step to lift. I don't know what kind of name that.
Pap.
And she talking, and culture calling and telling her to remind about the 2005 because they take kitchen as a fool. But Douglas, this is so well, culture they said Joe, but me no remember was Joe, was Douglas saying that if Timothy could give prize. No, Timothy did say first. I wouldn't call him Timothy. My best prime minister did say he gonna get 1,000. Them call and say whatever. They don't mean let the call hour, but they will someone get in to do all them murder what they do. Cause they not do nothing. Every minute they still start something and stop. Why you not come out and give him the government? Cause they know they don't win nothing. Cheat and I'm not gonna stop so. She justify, when up to when you done get something or other. You go, the 1,005 is going to be in it. How that could be, that, we don't have a sense. 1,005 is 1,005. So if you will get 10,000, we'll get in 1,005 from it. Mr. Lambert, I just wake up, but so if I got anything else that I could get in, a call back. But I just want that go off from my stomach because a lot of people know what went on. See you. Because I had so much to say.
Okay. Sounds like Alice in Wonderland. Yes, we recall that comment was made about yes, $1,500. Excuse me. I believe it was July who made the comment, nonetheless. This was the comment made about $1,500, or one of them, I believe, was this one.
I want to say with an emphatic no that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party will not end the PAP. We had a program called the MEND program. This program was really geared towards eradicating poverty in St. Kitts. So it wasn't just enough $500. People were getting up to $1,500. Not only that,
Yes,
you'll
and that is
identify
what,
within the family what type of...
The $1,500, but I do recall the issue as well about the $1,500 by Douglas. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Leiber.
Good evening, my dear brother. Good evening.
And good evening to the listeners home and abroad. Carl Brown here. Mr. Leiber, a couple of questions. And I still want clarification on this matter. Mr. Leiber, let me go to this one first. During the campaign, Dr. Drew and his team were campaigning and saying the PAP was bad. It's not a good program. The $1,000, all those things that the former government did during the pandemic was trying to help and motivate and elevate people who did not have that opportunity for many, many years. And we know who they are. We don't even have to call the names, right? Mm-hmm. Lots of people venture into their own businesses. Lots of people move on out from working for a boss and went to work for themselves otherwise. And there was opportunities for people to get loan easy at Development Bank. The thing I want to say about this, if those programs were so bad, right, during the Labour campaign, why now Labour get in and they ain't scrap them? But then now, let's say, change the name. The same programs, but the names are changed. And they work under the former government, Unity. It's now working on the Labour with new names and less customers or participants on them. So how come these programs are so bad? That's the question I have to ask to the Labour government, because the campaign, and they made a lot of noise that these programs was mishandled, misused, and over-budgeted. Maybe they may not say that word, but in layman's terms, how they are speaking is that these programs was over-budgeted, and I yet to hear a journalist asked Dr. Joe about all those monies that was missing under the former government that went now in a dark hole. When he's going to put a floodlights down in that dark hole to find those monies. Gone, Mr. Leiber.
Thank you very much. Yes, we recognize that he stopped talking about, as you said, the money in the dark hole, but he was always talking nonsense nonetheless. So after a while, he had to stop, and he has stopped now. It's 9:27, my Street Dog family. If you have just joined us, we discussing our thesis as our main item, but we do discuss other items as well, because we do look at our observations in review. So you are at liberty to discuss those as well. But our thesis tonight, thousands of people, thousands more will crash to poverty and suffering is our theme for tonight. Caller, you're live.
Yeah, good night, Patches.
Good night, my brother. How about thou?
I'm good, man. I'm good. First, let me send condolences to Culture. He big brother dead. He gonna be buried Wednesday. Don't laugh, eh? and let me say good night to Mr. Straight Talk, Sloyd Wayne. Welcome. Everybody who listening Straight Talk tonight here. Time is short, so I can't call all the ardent listeners' name. But there is a special one who calls me often and help me to debate and converse about the wrong things that are going on in this country. Now, Patty, today there was a program on ZZ, and the program called The Edge. And you know, when I hear them going on any radio, I'm going after them. Because, like I tell the lady today, I will not believe nothing that coming from Jew government, nothing coming from Dundu government, because if he give me some alloy in the morning for breakfast, he can't catch me lunchtime and dinner. Before he get in there, he said he was costing the $500 from Unity. So when he get in there, he can up it up. He gonna give $1,500. And I said, well, nothing come to fruition. And the lady who was there, as usual, she talked fast, and everything joined on. So you couldn't, a person who's slow to understand, they couldn't understand clearly what she was saying because everything joined on. But I know I exposed the question for all the listeners all around the world to hear the amount of lie they don't get on the radio to tell. And I am saying this, Patches, apart from you come tonight, and you're saying that thousands going to be starving or whatever it is. That is already thousands are starving in St. Kitts. I don't know for Nevis. Because you can hear it on the road, on the radio, you can hear it on the road. And even people who supported them and put them there, they're now bawling and saying, is the labor people them doing this thing. The labor people them crying out to them. That man, he don't have no love for people in St. Kitts. He do not have no love for Kittyshon and Nevis. Otherwise, he would not be here. So, all what he got in there to do, change the programs and change the name that was there before the farmer administration. The next thing he can change now is government headquarters name. Patches, I will come back in because I got one to Lego on the snake in Nevis and the water. So let me get out there with me 2 minutes. I'll be back.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. And it's very interesting that when you catch them, the line, then they say all sorts of things. The Patches, the fast talking, nonsense speaking minister reads this email. Responsible for the PAP was on ZIZ this morning. It's obvious that these people don't know what they are doing and saying, and they feel as if all of us are stupid. Reads this email. I want to thank Mr. Culture for being the opening batsman to call into the show, and he was on the ball. And also the other callers, although they were cut off before they had finished their point. There was a caller who I know supports the Labour Party, said to the minister that this new program will throw more people off the program and less people will qualify under this program, this new system. I am glad to see that there are some Labour supporters who are brave enough to call out on this government on this nonsense program they plan to implement. Read this email. It's now 9:32. The lines are open. I had this caller holding. I don't know why didn't wait. I was trying to finish. I'm trying to intersperse with the emails, if that's the right term I'm using here. But the lines are open again. Sometimes I put you on hold for a few seconds and understand, and I crave your indulgence. Good night, Mr. Ambassador. A question to ask the Junior Minister of Social Services if people with disabilities have to reapply to get on the Elevate program. I think that should be the LIFT program. She indicated that if you are a double amputee, that person or persons will have to reapply as if they have grown limbs overnight. I said, God have mercy on us. Read this email. Wow, did she say that? Wow. Good night, Patches. You know, if Drew handed over any information about his taxes as yet, you know if Drew handed over any information about his taxes as yet? That's the question. I hope the DPP is paying attention, because as we know, he is now married to a lawyer from St. Vincent, and things are going to be hidden elsewhere. I don't need to go into deep details. All the mouth Mark the Snake has, let him go and do his homework on Drew, because he too is a lawyer. I could never like Labour, because Labour was meant for the poor, was not meant for the poor, as they are the ones who give them that power, but Labour is all for themselves. The same way Douglas did St. Kitts continuously raping the island is the same thing Drew is doing. What good thing could come from Labour? Nothing, reads this email. This other email reads, a pleasant good evening to you, Mr. Liebert, and trust you are well. Patches, the same hall you, Tim, and Juicy Phillip in Miami Gardens. Labour had 15 showed up for Dr. Walwyn and Austin Keynes' BS. They will blame the rain, but grown folks see the writing on the wall. Mr. Liebert, the young lady whom they charged for murder her children in 48 hours. I have been informed she went to social services and asked for help and expressed how she felt, and also informed them that her mom was not on good terms, that she was not on good terms. No one in that office saw any red flags. Patches, the need to lock up those heartless folks. No disrespect to Dr. Williams. We need to have a shrink brought in from overseas to examine the lady. She is no murderer. She is a sick mental human being. Patches, you are a bad man since you told that Garrett to do his job. Nobody hear from him again. Good night, sir. Please be careful. Reads this email. This other email reads, Patches, I tired wonder if Drew is afraid to touch the thing. Is the MC had to tell Dr. Drew when he was doing the Roomba to get close to his wife? Well, someone told me he looks down on women, but to me, it's like he's afraid to touch it. I wouldn't like to see Drew in action. Reads this email, very interesting email. How many times are those liars going to revamp the PAP? How can anyone in their right mind believe what comes from Labour is beyond me? Look at the state Labour in. Let the Labour voters see what they have done to the country. Here in St. Kitts, it's self first, then country after. Let's go back to the lines. Caller.
Okay, Patches, I'm back. Thank you very much, Patches. Patches, I want to say something. I want to show the listening and the viewing audience all over the world. If Mark Brandley never a hypocrite, a backstabber, a Judas, and a rattlesnake, he would have get up and opposed Congress for hiring Bede to come and dig well for water after what Bede do to Nevis. Congress know that Mark Brandley said they got Bede in court because he come up there and they don't deposit X amount of dollars and nothing doing. But you see, all of them is bunch of hypocrite lawyers, and they're doing everything to see if they could keep out PAM and PLP out of the government. But we're going to get back in there. Now, Congress coming with all kind of foolishness. Talking about they're going to put down desalination up Newton Bay up there. Patches, we know how contaminated the water up there is, you know. From up by the old factory pier down by the little old toilet where they had there by Sandon Road. So I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to say they're going to put desalination there for. Desalination supposed to be over on the Atlantic side where the water is not polluted. Now come back to the snake. The snake is getting paid for a job that he's not doing. And there should be some law to make him pay back all that money, what he getting, since he's not representing the hat that he's wearing as opposition leader. He's not that. He's supposed to tell them the amount of wrong things what they're doing. They're traveling up and down with the money from the treasury. Even though they said the country is in red, they find the money to go here, go there, and go there, and keep party here every minute, keep party there, and all kind of foolishness, and nobody holding the foot to the fire. So therefore, Mark wanted the snake supposed to pay back the money, because he's not. And I'm calling on the whole country. Everybody stop, scringe up, come out, man. Talk. If you don't want to go up on the road to march, talk. Don't be afraid. Because I know I don't listen to hear who going on any program that I just call into. As a matter of fact, any radio station that I just call into. And once they go in there, where they call it are going after them. Because I have enough wrong things what I have done to let the whole world know. But anyway, thank you, Patches, for my last 2 minutes.
Thank you very much for your intervention, my dear brother. Thanks for your contribution as usual. And let's see what's going on here with my emails. What's going on here? Yes, my Straight Talk family. Divisions, be careful and keep your eyes on that man. He's teaming up with Dr. Drew and the Labour Party to sell you out by removing Section 113 from the Constitution. I was informed and very well believe that at their joint cabinet meeting at Four Seasons, the St. Kitts cabinet pressured him to have the secession clause expunged in moving forward to a sustainable republic with a new constitution. Furthermore, I was told Mark agreed in principle to consult first with the Nevis people. Divisions never allow that to happen. Section 113 is your saving grace. That stalwarts like Ivor Stevens, Sim Daniel, Sonny Paris, Levi Morton, Vance Amory, Horace Liebert, and robustly supported by Washington Archibald, fought for. Don't let that traitor Mark hoodwink you and sell you out like Judas for 30 pieces of silver. Not forgetting that he was and still is one of the biggest secessionists in the Federation. Divisions, watch out. It is coming, similar to when Bradshaw said he was going to drop independence like a bomb on St. Kitts Nevis. My Straight Talk family, you may have just joined me. Tonight, we have introduced our thesis, which I have titled, Thousands More Will Crash into Poverty and Suffering in this country. But let's go back to the lines. I'll get back to that. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yes, pleasant. Good evening to you. How are you doing?
I am peaceful, my dear. Yourself?
I'm peaceful too.
I can see those.
I just want to send out. What you say?
I can see those dimples.
I want to send out sympathy greetings to Silma, Vona, and all of them, and to the Caesar family here in Kayan too. I want to send our sympathy greetings to all of them. Yes.
Okay.
Patrick, I listened to the young lady today on the radio, and I really want to know what she's saying. Because we still used to give the people them money and what, and I must say the majority of things people cry out and ball out and some talk about giving away the money to criminal and murderers and what's not. And now them gone want to take the same money that King gave them and know what they're saying I come to talk about. I will like to know. I watch a thing on top the TV with a load of cars Mark think it. I will like to know who is going to pay for them here because the money is too good for Sean and religion who parents don't sweat so hard in this country here. They done gone and them to get something and it's a problem to think it's an Nevis people, but it's not a problem to get overseas people redeeming our grandparents and grandmommy and whatever money what is left in this country here. Somebody else are come enjoy it and it's okay. But we who here can enjoy it is a problem to them and whatnot. But I want to ask a question. You know must answer me. You come from a country and you have a lot of degrees to your name. You is this, you is lawyer, you is this, you is that. And nobody in your country could find you. And you have so many things to your name. I wonder what hole he went go dig to get out she to come down here. Because people are going to degrees about what's that they go for and people must find them. So what hole he did to get out she from up there to bring here with all them degrees. What they say she have. We're going to see how far it goes and we need to go investigate all those things there because something smells fishy and you look fishy. Have a pleasant night.
Have a pleasant night as well. Have a pleasant night as well, my Straight Talk family. That one had us really wondering. Caller, you live.
Mr. Libert,
my dear.
I hear the big bad wolf was the DJ. And leave all the petition girls, not I wouldn't say all, some crying. And now you're going to get on worse. Mr. Libert, with this money story, because it's hurtful, the people was getting 500. Whether you're going to do your hairdo, your nails, or your toes, you get it and you do what you want to do. Exactly. But if there wasn't supposed to be on it, take it off all in a clock and let the people them know. They wait until people don't vote to them and then telling them, oh, these sort of people can't go on and this. And going got people in a sun again for 2 more days. 2 more time. One time you're in a sun to line up.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. I think I did something to the call. Alice in Wonderland, please forgive me. Caller, are you there? Hello, caller? Wow. Wow. Oh my, what am I doing? I'm sorry about that. Callers, I did something with that call. I'm sorry about that. Let's get back to that caller. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Thank you, Patches.
So,
okay, I must go on. Continue.
Yeah, you have something in your background, though. I want the whole world to hear you.
I was just checking the. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Patches, good night.
Mm-hmm.
To you, good night to all the listeners around the world here and I want to comment on the LIFT program, and I don't know if I've heard everything, but what I've heard so far, let me just say this. As I always said, government is continuous. When a program is going to continue from an administration who had introduced a program and changing the name, I don't think make a difference, because we must carry some bearing that a previous administration started and try to improve it moving forward for the betterment of the people. Because we must all bear in mind and remember, government is for the people, and it came from the people. And they must always remember the people. Having said that, now the LIFT program, it makes some changes for the better, but it still have some downfall. I had grievance with some procedure with the previous administration too, because in any way, $500 was not sufficient to survive, for people to survive off. It was a start though, and it's better than nothing. Okay, I'm going to stop there with that. Moving forward, when the new administration took over, they had made a promise for $1,000, okay? And most people got caught into that. And I would have been on that bandwagon should I was there too. But for what is going on now, in Harris' administration, the PAP program was one family of whatever house will receive that $500. Now, I could have said, there could be more people living in a house, living in a room. They're responsible for themselves. I mean, if they're qualified to get what the protocol was, I would have seen a problem where only one person would have get it, because everybody have hard time, and to each is his own. Every dog or every mule carry their own plow. So I did against that. It should have been, if you could prove that you are not linked with that other family member on the next door or whatever, they all should have get the 500. Because whosoever get the 5, they're not going to share it with who living in that household. Remember, people rent the room. They are there for reasons. Now, with the LIFT program, every person who is qualified in that household will get that 600. But they only raise it to 100. I think they could have even borderline and come out with a notice. We said we would have given a 1,500, but we could only give 1,000. But they just bring it up to 100. That's not good.
Okay, maybe.
So, in that respect, everyone has their downfall, but I think labor and who make those plans, they should have give the people more money.
Okay.
Because they could afford it. They could afford it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your intervention. Let's go back to the lines. A caller, I think. Okay, I've lost that caller. I know I had you on hold for some time. Forgive me, callers on my local line. LIFT means line in future tense. Labour ain't care about poor people. I did not vote for Labour, yet we who did not hear suffering with the voters who did, and that is very unfair. They alone should be suffering, not me and the PLP voters. Labour painted such a pretty canvas and fooled the people home and abroad who voted for them. Now they're crying. What they're crying for? Let them take what they got. Take what they get. Yes, we're going through. We're going through it, but I for sure will be victorious. I have no confidence in the Labour Party, reads that email. Let's go to the lines. Caller, you live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller? I'm not hearing this caller. Caller, you're live. Hello? Okay, what's going on? Telephones now. Okay, let's try this other line. Then caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Levitt.
Good evening, my dear brother. How art thou?
Not bad, and you?
I am peaceful.
And how was the weekend?
Restful, my brother.
That's good. Anyway, quickly, this junior minister who was on the radio today, I think she gave the new PAC program an appropriate name. It's a lift up and a lift down, as far as I could see. In one case, she was saying that, unless I was misunderstanding her, but just saying that some people will be getting up to $600 per month, which is $100 over. She didn't say everybody is going to get it, mind you. But what is interesting is that under the previous administration, Unity, they had a household getting a household of up to $3,000 would be eligible for the PAP. Under the LIFT program now, the eligibility, you're now eligible when you reach 2,500. That means those persons between 2,501 and 2,900 or 3,000, they're out of it now.
Right.
So right away, you throw out hundreds of people, maybe thousands. So you give a little increase to some, quite emphasized, not all will get it, but you cut out another few hundred or few thousand people from eligibility to get the money. It's a real con man kind of thing.
Yes.
It's a lift up and a lift down.
You pick up that pretty quickly, man. Eliminate some people.
Yes, you will eliminate a lot.
Loaded threshold.
Next week, they're going to go down to 2,000 and eliminate another few thousand people. Packers camps. Okay, have a good night, man.
Have a good night, my brother. Thank you for your intervention. And yes, that's what they do. Find a way to discard people of the program. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Hello, are you there, caller? I'm not hearing this call at all. Are you there, caller? Okay, I'm not hearing this call for some reason. Are you there, caller? Hello? Okay, perhaps that person is not answering. It's now 5 before the 10 o'clock. Oh, I'm not hearing the caller. Don't take them on. For 20 years, they run the country to the ground. Ignore the local and poor people. The state of agriculture is a direct result of the 20 years of neglect by them. Now they're here trying to make us feel like the 7 years of the previous administration was so bad. Sorry, 7 is far less than 20. Though they made a good try, they could not fix and address everything. Reads this email. Good night, Mr. Liebert. Mr. William needs his job, so he won't be able to say anything about the water. Same as the DPP. If they talk up, they are gone. The soaker engineer was in Nevis, and I can tell you, the money for the geothermal will soon disappear. For the sake how to make money disappear. PM Harris need to be careful. Look how he helped Mr. Berridge, and now he's gone to Canada. But don't worry, he'll be back in SK the next election. Caller, you live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller? I'm not hearing this. That caller is not hearing me, and I'm not hearing that caller. I do sorry. Apologize for that. I don't know why I'm not hearing that call, that overseas line. Let's see what's going on with that overseas line. Let's see. I do apologize for that caller who's ringing that overseas line, but perhaps we can try one more time and see what happens to that line. But for some reason, you're not hearing me, and I'm not hearing you. A caller. But it's now 3 before the 10 o'clock hour. And as we wind down tonight, as I was going to mention earlier, tonight we looked at our thesis. Thousands more will crash into poverty and suffering. Because things are really, really terrible in this country. But I'll take a few more calls before I wind up tonight's programming. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Attorney, greetings.
Greetings, my brother.
How you doing, my brethren?
I am peaceful, Ras Aya. How art thou?
Thankful for the love of the Almighty in divine creation. I will be here to talk with you tonight in this time of what we're seeing in this moment, praising and we people of this life. Now, thankful for the night that we could say blessed night to your listeners via YouTube and Facebook, as you call it, Facebook, within your social media feed. We just like to say, we're having a week activities for Black Eye Story Month from the 18th, that was started yesterday, foundation going on to the 25th to close on the week activities. So tomorrow we're looking at a discussion and related on the edge in taking about our team. Our redemption begins with knowledge of our Black story. And that is what we'll be circulating in that discussion tomorrow. I said that from 11 to 12. Then Wednesday we had island food, the hamper distribution to the elderly and the needy of our eyes and St. Kitts and Nevis of the communities. And then the Thursday we go to the Carding home and carry a food hamper distribution and have some Black Eye Story read out or discuss about our people history. And we'll do some Nyabingi chanting down there. And then Friday we go into the gravesite to pay respect and honor to our martyrs, our fallen Nyabingi martyrs within the Rastafari community. And then Saturday we at the Sunday Pie Market in the morning to have poetry, speeches, and we have singing on that morning from 9 a.m. That is a part of what we do within, we're giving back to the community of our people here in Abdi Justin Bastille. We have to go right around the Isles of St. Kitts. And in time we'll have to engage into Nevis too. But this Sunday we close down within the activities at Foundation and we'll be at the front line in the west side bus terminal. And that's on the outskirts, just on the area, just after you pass up on the bridge. Before you could go into West Wongot, we have a side there where night, I'll tell you breakfast in the morning. We'll be there doing the congregationizing. And we'll have an honorary plaque given to assisting on behalf of our contribution to the work she have done within the Nyabingi faith and the community of Rastafari. So we like to say thankful for this IWA that we could bring forth our farmer to educate and bring forth knowledge of our African heritage to our people as much as we could. We will just say, hope that you know you go wisely and the ancestors and the Almighty give you guidance, peace and harmony to the love and humility within joy and peace. I just say this here now. All administration have failed the common man and woman. From the Bachelor institution and to the Simmons and to the Denzel and to the Timothy and to Dr. Joe, we are not ready until we challenge the economical power that is on here. And in the private sector, them is who control the ship line and the airline when it comes to the emphasis of diversity in the economy. So even though we say we're captivating and tourism, it's not bringing our people to the realization of who we can rise as a development towards succeeding, as they're saying they're going into, as I say, a sustainable island state following from this administration. So we like to say, put the table and the shoulders to the wheel properly, that we people can be elevated and not be begging. So we don't want to handle the demanding equal rights and justice on the table. without any hesitation. It's time now people rise up. You have a blessed night. Give thanks.
Have a blessed night as well, my dear brother. Let's just go back to the lines and see if we can take this call. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Hello, good night.
Yes, good night. How art thou?
Good. I was calling you concerning about the POP and the lift program. The lift, I do not understand. When they got in first, they had said that they did not understand the POP, so they had to reapply. The people them reapply, some of them drop off, and now they're changing it from POP to lift. Isn't it the same program? Why should they apply again? Huh? Why should they apply again? It's the same program. So that means some of them won't drop off. One caller talk about the $600 that they say they're going to give. The way how I understand her on the conference that those senior what was getting $300 from Social Security, they will ask Social Security to increase the 300 to 600, and then they won't be getting the POP. When they go to lift, they won't be getting that. They will only be getting the $600, the $300 extra increase from Social Security, make it $600. So only $600 will be getting. They won't be getting nothing from the lift. But a farmer, but you must remember, the senior minister said that the POP going to be disappear and the peace program going to be disappear. So it gradually disappearing.
Yep.
It's gradually disappearing. So it's not that the increase to no $600. The $600 where they're talking about is the seniors going to be in who was getting $300 from Social Security. They're going to ask Social Security to increase it to $600 so they won't be getting the lift. So at least the seniors losing $200 because they was getting $300 from Social Security and $500 from the POP, and that will have made them to $800 a month. So that is how I understand it. So you have a nice evening, okay?
Have a nice evening as well. Good to hear you.
Okay, then bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's go back to the lines. Are you there, caller?
Yeah.
Caller, you live?
Hello.
Yes, you are live, my brother.
Hello, good night, Patches.
How art thou? It sounds like the Rastaman Zulu, yes. How art thou, my brother?
It's a blessing to hear your voice.
Likewise.
You know, you're doing a wonderful job for all our people.
I'm trying, my brother. I'm trying. Trust.
You know, you're not trying. You're doing it. You're not trying anything. Don't fool nobody, brother. You're doing it.
I'm trying my best to satisfy.
So you know, my brother Garo, we just went and have he's passed in New Jersey and everything like that. So you know, everything like that. Everything went well. So I just want to say thank everybody for coming out, and thank the universe because he was the the best plumber of our country.
Yes, Ogaro. Yes. I trust that you will remain strong, my brother, and the entire family.
Yeah, and all of my brothers in St. Croix, Florida, and all over the universe happy. And New Jersey, we good, and everybody good, and even in New York here, we happy.
Okay, good to hear, my brother. Okay, and say hello to the guys at the garage.
Oh, thank you. And Kenny and everybody. And Slim was here too, you know. Slim Edwards was here. Okay. Man, I know maybe you saw the videos.
No, I did not.
Yo, you know, because a guy was married to his auntie.
Okay. Well, nice to hear.
And Ellie called too.
Okay. The king.
You can't. Oh, you said it right. You said it right. So we had a wonderful time, and I want to say congratulations to St. Kitts and Nevis for all our life of living, because we have everybody, and we are happy to see that everybody wants to be a Kittitian now.
Okay, my brother, you take care of yourself, and I trust we will connect shortly. Okay?
Yeah. Yes, thank you, my brother.
Okay, have a good night, my brother. Yes. Let's go back to the lines and take a few more calls. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Okay, what's happening to that call? Yes, my Straight Dog family, as we wind down tonight's programming, I'll perhaps take 2 more calls and then wrap. Let's see. We have another email here. Good night. I hate to write this email, but I'm wondering if Samuel Duggins is still a minister in the government. My reason for asking is simply because Carnival 2023-2024 has ended. I have not heard about or from Samuel Duggins. Samuel is a nice person, but it seems as though he bit off more than he could chew. And now he looks as one who is lost and knows not where he is or is going. Please let me know if Samuel still exists in the government. Yes, that's a rhetorical question. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yes, Patrice, good evening again.
Yes, my dear.
Patrice, you know what I realize right now in St. Kitts? I don't know for Nevis. All the buildings them in St. Kitts, they're smart. They are smart buildings. The hospital smart, the house smart, the money entry smart, the ganja smart, and now the places that just go pay inland revenue smart. So all the buildings them getting smart, and with the people them getting dumb. Have a good night.
Have a good night as well, my dear sister. Smart everything. Good night, Patches. Langley here again. I am enjoying your program. It's a very good program. There's only one thing I can talk about, and that's the water situation between St. Kitts and Nevis. I'll call in on Thursday night for more detail. I look forward to that call so we can discuss that water issue. But my Straight Talk family, as we wrap for tonight, we looked at the situation of poverty and the suffering of our people, which we captured in our thesis. Thousands more will crash into poverty and suffering. And I can tell you, things are not easy in our beloved country of St. Kitts and Nevis. People are hurting. When we look at the World Bank's definition of poverty, it suggests that people are unable to maintain a basic standard of living. People are barely surviving. And under this Jew administration, thousands of people now struggle to cope with the sharp cost of living increases and have to choose between a plate of food, eating a plate of food, or paying their electricity bills. Thousands more of the poor people could crash into extreme levels of poverty in St. Kitts and Nevis because of the senseless policies of this Jew administration. But it did not take long to find out that the poor people in St. Kitts and Nevis have no friends in the July cabinet. July and his cabinet betrayed the people as they promised while on the campaign trail that the PAP monies would be increased. And the slow student Jeffrey Hanley was the one behind the planned betrayal. The slow student gave the country that situational report and in the process issued this mandate, my street dog family. Remember, when the slow student came forward and he told us that the PAP will end.
I use this opportunity to indicate that all eligible existing recipients of the Poverty Alleviation Program PAP are mandated to reapply by completing the application form by December 16, 2022. Failure to do so would mean that your payment will cease effective December 31st, 2022. I wish to notify the general public that the mending of the PAP will commence from January 2023.
Yes, they started to dismantle the PAP from January last year. Based on the advice, according to this young, inexperienced junior minister from the IMF of all institutions.
The advice we have gotten, particularly from IMF reports, is that we actually need to streamline our social services. Thinking is not about expanding social services so that we just increase our social assistance budget. And so we understand, of course, that people need assistance immediately, and we really try to service people who are most vulnerable. We also want to be able to apply conditions so that when we ask questions like, how are you using the PAP money? We're not trying to be invasive.
Yes. If a man wants to buy a pair of shoes, he buys a pair of shoes. That's his or her business, a straight dog family. But the social development initiative positively impacted the grassroots economy, my straight dog family.
The program is designed to provide this special stipend of $500 every month to vulnerable households who earn less than $3,000 per month across St. Kitts and Nevis. This is a major development, one of the best social development initiatives to be implemented over the past 30 years, and fulfills a promise made by our Team Unity administration in the campaign leading up to the historic general elections in 2015.
Yes, a positive social development initiative that impacted the grassroots economy meant so much for the mom and pop shops in the different communities. But my straight dog family, when the month ended, people could have afforded to pay their electricity bills and their water bills. But very early, the incompetent leadership of July was exposed of all to see, or for all to see. Or perhaps, my straight dog family, it was never understood by July that essential operations in government must continue after a change in administration, and critical social programs cannot be stopped overnight, or should not be stopped overnight, my straight dog family. Contrary to that concept of continuous government, Labour executed a plan from day one to dismantle the poverty alleviation program. And it did so, my straight dog family, with all intentions to stop it. here in St. Kitts on the eve of a special day. We are practicing social discrimination and division, when tomorrow, the World Day of Social Justice, will be encouraging all of us to reflect on how social justice impacts poverty eradication and emphasizes the goal of achieving full employment and support for social integration. They talk about the IMF, my Straight Talk family. And I have to leave this advice with you from Financial Secretary Hazel. So important.
The IMF is not the only credible source of information on the economic performance of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. In fact, the economic data that is gathered and distributed by the government is shared with all our relevant economic partners. The same data files that are shared with the IMF are also shared with ECCB, the Caribbean Development Bank, ECLAC, you name it. And so I think that we need to put things in proper perspective as well, in that the IMF is not an auditor of the government. The Director of Audit is the only authority to audit the books of the government. The IMF, however, continues to be an important partner in respect of the economic surveillance, policy advice to the government, and also the provision of technical assistance to the countries that hold membership with it.
In terms of policy advice, the IMF advised the new administration about the phasing out of what it called crisis-related measures, as can be gleaned from the Article 4 assessment, Article 4 report. And it said it should be complemented by reform of the Social Assistance Program, PAP, to better target the most vulnerable, which is consistent with the July plan. And this is what this young junior minister said.
Persons who are currently on the PAP and who will be eligible for the lift with the new conditions, you will be invited to verify the information on your original PAP application and resubmit it for consideration on the lift. Now, this doesn't mean there's a guarantee, so that should be done before the anticipated last payment on the PAP program, which should be by the end of March.
And my Straight Talk family, no guarantee. Yet we adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, including the Sustainable Development Goals. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals aim to end poverty, hunger, and inequality, amongst other things. But it needs effective leadership, my Straight Talk family, for sustainable development. And this leadership that we have today requires an inner process in which a leader must first be grounded in an understanding of self and a relational view of the world to effectively work with others to make change. Reflection is a process of understanding one's own skills, knowledge, and values within the context of community groups. And that's a quote from the International Journal for Quality in an article titled Transactional and Transformational Leadership, my Straight Talk family. The authors opine that strong leadership, a coherent implementation plan, and engagement of all government departments and diverse stakeholders are necessary to ensure that the Sustainable Development Goals are achieved at all levels. But the dire economic situation in St. Kitts Nevis today demands that everyone must work towards creating a sustainable future. But the current leaders we have in cabinet are all experts. They don't know, or want to hear rather. They don't know that they ought to create opportunities for people to come together and generate their own answers. For too long, injustice has been undervalued by Straight Talk family. And that's an issue that need to be addressed. But we can find comfort in the good book, which says that we must serve wholeheartedly as if you were serving the Lord, not people. Because you know that the Lord will reward each one for whatever good they do, whether they are slave or free. And masters, treat your slaves in the same way. But the greatest among you shall be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. My Straight Talk family, under this July administration, the road seems long, and our burdens are heavy. Who will help the poor people is a question that everyone is asking. And poor people are not the problem, nor is the culture of poverty, because poor people work hard. We came up from a poor family. Our families showed resolve and determination in providing for us all. But my Straight Talk family, I implore us to get organized, get united, else we cannot demand anything. All those committed to poverty reduction must therefore ask themselves the question, how can we build on what already works? The PAP was working. It has been working for 6 years. Why end it? But there's this sinister plan to knock persons off the PAP, so they call it lift. And what that means, you must reconfirm your details. But there's no guarantee that you will get back onto it, my Straight Talk family. And it means so much to so many.
It is not EASY. It is not easy. And do not be fooled. Do not let no nice show and no nice thing fool you. The $500 from the PAP, it is so helpful. I wish I could triple it up. It's so helpful. It comes in so handy.
But that will be no more for many persons come March 31, 2024. God help us all is our fervent prayer, as thousands more people will crash into extreme poverty and suffering in this, our land, our beloved land of St. Kitts and Nevis. That's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I am not going to change it. But I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight. As always, I want to thank you, the many listeners from all over the world, those who called, those who sent emails. Remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. I am Ian Patches Live in God's Spear. We will connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk. Till that time, be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. And remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye until we connect on Thursday. My Straight Talk family.
and praises for taking me safely through the night, for the rest of food and loving care, and for my mother's breath of life that's got me here. So whatever my mind conceive that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. Down on my knees, to the Lord I kneel and pray, with my heart and soul, beg Him to take me through each day.